Welcome back to Nothing Without Us, a disability advocacy podcast produced by Lakeshore Foundation. I'm your host, Allie B. Gorey, and today we have a really special treat for you. We've got my friend Chris Biggins in the studio today, and I want to tell you a little bit about Chris. So Chris is a golfer and former para-alpine skier originally from Clarksville, Maryland. He is currently the number 18 ranked disabled golfer in the world, number 3 in the US. He was ranked number 3 in the world for 2 years prior to taking time off to step into his newest role as dad to Brooks. Chris competes on the G4D Tour, which is a worldwide tour for adaptive golfers. In the past 2 years, he's played events in Australia, Dubai, Kenya, Ireland, England, Northern Ireland, Spain, and the USA. He also skied on the U.S. Paralympic development team for 8 years, and during that time, he was based in Park City, Utah. He's currently the Director of Player Development at the Country Club of Birmingham, and he is also on the board of local beloved disability organization in Birmingham, United Ability. Chris, it's so good to have you here.
Man, it's great to be a guest here. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. Now, I want to get started learning a little bit about you growing up. I think a lot of us with disabilities have people, maybe their parents, mentors, or teachers that inspired us when we were young. And who were those people for you?
I got a big team, and it wasn't like I went looking for them. It's just kind of the way things were. I had 2 brothers so older brother Mike was just like, I wasn't a disabled person to him. It was just, he was always going to pick me to be on his team. We played sports in the front yard from sun up to sundown. Like, my mom had a rule, like, you can't go outside until 9 o'clock in the morning because you're too loud when we're playing baseball and football and all yelling around. And then we come back home at night, go inside. So we just played sports all day, every day, and that's just kind of how things were. And so I don't even know if I knew if I was disabled until doctor's appointments and things like that. But I always had good friends, like growing up and going to high school. My friends carried me, and there was never a time where they were like not picking me for their team. Like, maybe early on in gym class because they wanted to win and all, but like, I never really felt like I was disabled, and I thought that was the norm. And so after going to college and seeing different parts of the world, I kind of realized how lucky I was because I had such a good team the whole time. So in retrospect, like, very thankful for my brothers, for my parents, for my team. I just didn't feel like I was disabled growing up, besides the fact that I walked a little weird.
Yeah. So I have a question about that too. You know, I had a very similar experience. My parents and a lot of people in my life never told me things I couldn't do. They let me try any sport or activity and decide for myself that it either was or wasn't for me. But I will say I had a moment probably around junior high, middle school, where I had a teacher say, hey, it's time to learn to self-advocate, right? It's time for you to learn to advocate for yourself, to learn to talk about your disability. Like, mine's low vision. And I had to learn this is how I need to share it with people when it's relevant. Did you ever have a person that taught you those kinds of skills, or did you just find your voice to talk about your disability on your own?
I think the fact that I was very competitive kind of brought that out.
Yeah.
It was more of telling people what I can do. Like, a few examples, like, my parents wouldn't let me go skiing with my brother and their friends, just with them, because she knew, if I fell down, then like a parent would have to pick me up because I wasn't getting good at picking myself up. And so that was sort of like, no, Mom, I can pick myself up. Like, I can figure it out. I can pop my skis off. Like, I'll figure out a way. Like, they don't need to wait on me. I'll catch up. And then as life went on, like, that's just how my family operated is, he'll figure it out. It's not, he's limited by these certain things. He's going to find a way to get it done. And so my message was always, don't treat me like I'm disabled. Like, I can figure out, I can do it. Like, Mom, why are we parking in a handicap spot? I can walk to the grocery store. It's like, I wanted to be as normal as possible. The first time I probably advocated for myself was in high school when I tried out for the baseball team. And my freshman year, I had a big surgery, so I couldn't try out. And so sophomore year was my first time, like, really interacting with the baseball coach. And baseball was my main sport growing up. Like, they called me the Rocket. I was Chris, the baseball player. My brothers played baseball. That was like my favorite sport to play. And when I tried out for the team, I wasn't the best at running the bases, but I had my particular set of skills. I was a really good pitcher, really good contact hitter. I had to make up for my physical deficiencies with like how I played the game and my IQ. And the coach on a 3-day tryout didn't really pick up on that. And so I ended up not giving me a spot on the team. And he thought he was doing me a favor saying, oh, but you can be like a manager. You can like keep score and be a part of it. And I mean, I'm not going to use profanity on this podcast, but like in my head, I was thinking bad words like, you don't understand how good I am at this sport. And I saw the people that made the team over me. I'd played with them growing up, and I felt like I was on their skill level or past it.
Exactly.
And I remember writing him a big letter to kind of educate him on that. Basically, a 16-year-old's, as sophisticated I could get, way of saying, you don't know how disabilities prevent certain actions, but also like I can make up for it in other ways. And I don't want to be a manager. We don't want to be like, I didn't try out for it to be a feel-good story. I tried out because I wanted to play baseball on the team, and I'm good enough to make it. And then I channeled all that energy into golf, because golf was the sport that it wasn't a coach deciding if you were good enough to make the team. It was when you play, if you shoot 36 and your opponent shoots 38, 36 wins.
Correct.
It's not a coach saying it looked prettier. So that's where kind of golf came into the fold for me. I'd always played golf, but that's where I gravitated towards late in high school, because I was competitive and I wanted to win and play, not sit on the bench as a manager. And so I guess that letter that I wrote, and I wish I still had it, to that coach, basically saying like, you're dumb. You don't understand disabilities. You saw me as a disabled person and thought it'd be cool for me to just be a part of the team. When I'm a competitor, I wanted to play. I didn't want the disability. Like, that's why I didn't make the team, is because you thought my deficiencies would prevent me from,
Correct.
Or you were scared of getting hurt, or like that. Well, I hated that so much, but yeah.
I hate that too. And it's honestly the limitations of your coach, right? To say like, oh, how limited is your mindset that like you can't understand how in your case, you know, having CP actually makes you a more adaptable, creative, like forward-thinking athlete. Yeah. Which I always have to be careful about that trope that we hear a lot of times, like, oh, I have a disability, but I have a superpower in another way. It's not even that. It's just that there's no other option. Like, I think successful people, if we want to succeed, we have to get creative and we have to find our other ways and really capitalize on where our skill sets lie. So I love that you saw that. And yes, you wrote the letter, but you didn't let that stop you, and you moved into golf. So when did golf come into your life? How old were you? What was your golf journey like growing up?
I think it was maybe as soon as I could stand. We were playing golf in the front yard, and we played all sports. Like, my dad has a video called Surrey Lane Golf, which was the street we grew up on. He cut little like greens in our front yard and filmed it like it was on a TV broadcast. So I was playing golf since I was 3, but couldn't go on the course until I was 7. And that's just, the golf course is where we went for, I guess, free daycare in the summer, me and my older brother. Because my dad knew the pro at a local golf course, so he'd drop us off in the morning. We'd help out, like fill divots and vacuum and do stuff, and then we get to go play in the afternoons. So we thought we had a job. When I was 7 years old, I didn't know what was going on. I just knew I got to play golf. So that was like the summer sport, and then we had fall baseball and spring baseball and soccer, and we played it all. But like as we got older and I wanted to gravitate towards being competitive and elite, that's when golf like really entered my, I didn't know if golf probably wasn't my favorite sport. It was just the one I was best at. And cause I liked winning, or at least I didn't like losing. So I guess that's where golf came into it. And then I had a really good junior year in high school and started thinking maybe I can play in college. Good senior year, ended up going on to college, and it just kind of dominoed into my career now. That's
so cool. I love that you played really throughout your life and then on into college. When did you learn about adaptive golf and adaptive tournaments, and how did you plug in there?
That's kind of a funny story. So I learned about it here in Birmingham. There was a tournament in 2016 that I heard about 2 days before it started. It was, at that time, the biggest adaptive golf event in the United States.
Wow.
And I didn't even know about it. So
and you were in Connecticut at the time?
No, I was here. I was in Birmingham. So I went to, they had a meeting, maybe it was here, or it was at Mountain Brook Club first, but they had a meeting. It was at a hotel nearby. There were a few Lakeshore employees there talking about how to get golf into the Paralympics as a sport. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the first step was I raised my hand and said, I'm a golf pro. I have a cerebral palsy. I've been playing forever, and I didn't even know about this adaptive golf tournament. So one, if we want to just raise the profile of golf. That might bring in more players, more popularity, and the sport will get kicked off. So that's when I heard about it. I couldn't play that year, obviously, because it was 2 days after I found out there was a tournament. But I had the event organizers come play Country Club of Birmingham with me a day after the event, and they said, "We'll come to the event next year," which was in Pumpkin Ridge in Oregon. And that was my first time playing in an adaptive golf event. And I played with Juan Postigo, he's a one-leg golfer from Spain, and he's incredible. He stands on one leg, hits the ball over 280 yards, like blew me away. Chad Pfeiffer, who is he lost his right leg, his left leg above the knee in Iraq when he was serving, and a few other players with one arm and all different types of disabilities. And I left that week thinking, like, that is the coolest thing. I had no idea these people were out there. I had no idea how many different ways you could play golf. And so I fell in love with adaptive golf there, and it's really grown since, because that was one tournament a year. And now I'm basically making a career out of it.
That's incredible. So that used to be the only tournament.
Yeah, there was a few, but that was like the big national championship. It was the National Amputee Golf Association, but they allowed people I have cerebral palsy, so with different types of disabilities. And now there's the United States Disabled Golf Association that has their big event. The USGA has a championship now. The RNA has a championship. The G4D Tour, which is run by the DP World Tour over in Europe. So there's all these different tours are recognizing how cool it is and trying to get those stories out, and the game has just exploded.
That is incredible. When was your first tournament? I just want our listeners to understand that a lot of times we've had these amazing advancements in the disability world, and it's really recent. So I want to know when that was for you.
My first adaptive tournament?
Yeah.
So first adaptive tournament was 2017 in Pumpkin Ridge.
Do y'all hear this? 2017. That is yesterday.
Yeah, it seems like it.
It really is. And I think that really does blow my mind that there have been athletes ready to go for a very long time, and you just heard about it and just got to do it, 8 years ago or something? Don't trust my math. Yeah. But that just blows my mind, Chris.
It might be a blessing in disguise because it happened so late. Like, I left college and didn't really pursue competitive golf because there's nothing else I could play in. So that's when I said, I want to compete in something, and that's when I found the alpine skiing. And so I don't know if adaptive golf was a thing back then, if I would have transferred and said, I want to compete in something, let's try skiing. So maybe that helped me out a little bit.
That's amazing. I want to take a brief pause here, and then we're going to come back and talk all about alpine skiing.
At Lakeshore Foundation, we believe in a world in which every person has the opportunity to achieve a healthy, active, independent life. For 100 years, we've been impacting lives through inclusive fitness, sports, and recreation. Our mission is to encourage and provide opportunities for people to live a healthy lifestyle through activity, research, and advocacy. Join us. Together, we can make every day a new beginning.
All right, Chris, I want to move into hearing some about your para-alpine skiing journey, because that's just not a sport we hear a lot about down here in Birmingham, especially. But I want to hear how you came to para-skiing and what it was like getting started.
So skiing, much different than golf. That's a sport where like adrenaline's high. It's like go, go, go. Where golf, it's like classy and low key. And I mean, as a competitor, I've always loved the go, go, go type sports. And we skied on vacations growing up. My dad was obsessed. We would go up to Killington, Vermont, which from Clarksville, Maryland, where I grew up, was like 10 hours. But my dad, like after school on a Friday, packed the car, we're going, ski Saturday, Sunday, come back, catch school the next day, just tired as can be. And then we'd probably make 3 trips a year, like actual week trips.
Wow. And
I love skiing, but I was never great at it. So the way my legs were when I was younger is my right foot was turned in pretty substantially. And so when you're skiing, like my right, I was kind of like a pizza. I was
it's
forced
stopping
to have
you,
it.
yeah.
So I'd never really had full control. I could ski, but I was never as fast as my brother. It's kind of because that, like I could try real hard to get it out, but it was not very natural for me. And then I kept, unrelated to skiing, I'm getting stress fractures in my my feet because it was on the outside of my right foot because it was always stressed that way. And so ended up having to get a surgery. It was a tendon transfer where they split the anterior tib tendon split it, and then tied it on the right side, which turned my foot out. So my foot was straight. And then I went on a ski trip after I was recovered, probably like a year later. And it was like night and day. I'm like, holy cow, I'm good at skiing now. Like it's easier. I don't have to try so hard to like line the skis up. It just happens naturally. And so I enjoyed it, had a lot more fun. Went on a bunch more trips just kind of on my own because it was just a blast. And in college, I was watching the Sochi Paralympics with my roommate. And that was 2014. And it was right as the college golf was ending. And my roommate, Cody, asked me, it's like, Biggs, why don't you try to ski? Like, have you ever tried racing? And I was like, no, like, I don't know if my disability even qualifies. I didn't know much about the Paralympic world. I just knew that I was watching it. And I'm like, man, I'm almost as good as that guy maybe, which I wasn't. I've come to find out later the conditions there are way harder than I really anticipated. But for me, looking on the outside in, I'm like, that seems doable for me. I feel like I can compete.
Yeah.
And so I asked my boss if I could have 2 weeks off, right as I was like ending my internship, graduated from college, to go do this camp in Colorado called the Hartford Ski Spectacular. It was like a big camp in Breckenridge, Colorado, where they try to invite all new athletes who want to try ski racing. And there's a beginner camp, and there's the race camp. And I signed up for the race camp. Like, hopefully I'm good enough to not get kicked out of this thing. And after a few days, the coaches were like, you need to do this full time. Like, you need to come out and take this seriously because you got potential. They want to recruit athletes because they know how beneficial it is to them. And so called my boss, hey, can I do this a little bit more serious? Maybe take another couple weeks. And he said, don't take 2 weeks, take 9 weeks, take 2 months, take whatever you need. Because he's always, my boss has been, we talked about the team in the very beginning. Mm-hmm. He's always been like caring about me, the person first, and then his employee five steps down the line. Like he wants me to be the best person I can be. He knew the value of me going after this. He saw that I really wanted it. And so he basically opened that door for me to keep my job and spend 3 months to 4 months every single winter for the next 8 years, going full-time training and competing on the alpine ski team.
Wow. And remind me what, hold on, let me phrase that again. And remind me where you were working at the time and who this boss was.
Yeah, so at the Country Club of Birmingham.
Oh, in Birmingham.
Yeah, I was here, yeah. So that was Eric Eshelman. That was my boss.
Oh my gosh, what a great guy. Okay, love it so much. Shout out to Eric if you're listening.
Yeah, he's the man.
That's amazing. And wow, so he said, okay, go train. So you get to go train and your world is totally opened up. Do you start going to tournaments, or are they called tournaments?
Yeah, races. Yeah, so I went before I even started training, I went to a race just to kind of see where I would be. So I went with the team. The team is called the National Ability Center. So to paint the landscape here, in Park City, Utah, they have the National Ability Center, which is like a feeder development program for the U.S. Paralympic Ski Team. And in Colorado, they have the NSCD, the National Center for Disabled Sports in Colorado. And then there's some East Coast programs. But those two programs out west in Colorado and in Utah are like the big ones. And so that's where, when they went up to the Ski Spectacular event, they said, you need to go to the real programs. So I met with the National Ability Center team, met the coaches, met the players, or the racers. Came dead last in my first race, but like I was just hooked, and all the coaches were encouraging, and they I didn't even have skis that were legal to use in the race, so I borrowed someone's skis like the day before, and they were like 20 years old, but like who cares? Like I was racing, I got my baseline, I was hooked, and then just went full force into training from there.
What was that training process like? I have no idea what an alpine skiing training regimen would look like.
So it's pretty big time. So we train Monday through Friday, and we go to the gym in the morning. So you meet at the gym probably 6:30, train, get warmed up, have breakfast. Then you're on in the locker room at the mountain at like 8:15. Now it takes a while to get suited up. That's one of the main things I don't miss about ski racing is putting on all the layers, the pads, and I don't even have any missing limbs. I can't imagine like the amputees who have to get all that sorted out. But we get all that on. We're on snow by 9. We train from 9 to about 11, skills and drills, like working on techniques and warm-ups. Then we have a quick break for a snack, and then we have gait training from about 12 to, I guess, 1:30 to 2 o'clock, which we actually do like 6 or 7 runs in gates. So they'll have video analysis going on there. After we finish, we go and eat lunch while we watch our video and break it down. And we go back home, get changed, meet at the gym one more time for our workouts, and then you're home by about 5 o'clock and repeat the next day. Wow. So it's you're a full-time athlete. And that was probably, aside from the race results and how I skied, the improvements that happened because of me training every single day to my body and my legs and flexibility, like that stuff's going to stick with me forever. And that's probably the biggest thing I got out of ski racing, was just how much better condition my body was in because of training like that.
That's incredible. So obviously, yes, the physical benefits of that for your athlete journey as a whole. But what did you learn from that experience in terms of, your well-being and your emotional life and just your ability to persevere?
Yeah, it was a huge confidence boost to be able to say that I was a Paralympic skier. So I'll try to frame it this way, is I hadn't had a girlfriend when I was in college. I wouldn't say I didn't have a lot of game, no confidence, didn't know how to talk to girls or anything. And then as I started to do all these things, it was things kind of I could be proud of, where, hey, I'm not just a disabled person. Like, I'm a alpine ski racer. That's impressive. So when I look at myself next to these 6'5" good looking guys at the bars that are trying to meet girls, I'm not as unimpressive. I feel like, hey, I got some cool stuff going on for me too.
Yeah.
So that was huge. And I mean, that's just a small way, but that's in every part of my life. Even walking down the street, when I walk down the street, people are looking at me, and whether they want to or not, they see, oh, he's walking funny. Like, that's a weirdo there. But for me, the fact that I had these sports in my background was like, yeah, but if only they knew I'm pretty darn good at skiing. I'm pretty good at golf. I'm an athlete, even though it looks kind of funky here. So yeah, I needed that for my confidence. Whether or not that was shown on the outside, I don't know, but it was internal. It made me feel great that I was an athlete. That's
amazing. I want to hear, with skiing, some of the coolest places you got to go and experience and who you got to race with.
Yeah. So mountains are like the coolest thing for me. I love the views. We went to every single big time ski resort in the United States and in Canada. My favorite spot was probably Mammoth in California, because that's mostly above tree line. The first time I went, they had so much snow that year that they had to dig out the lifts. So the lifts are pretty high off the ground, but it was above where the poles were. So they had to dig out huge trenches so that the lifts could go up, and all the trees were completely covered with snow. So the California 30, 40-foot trees completely covered in snow. So it was just this white landscape, and you had the massive mountains in the background. It was just like a little playground there. So that was great. All my skiing was in United States and Canada, but basically every single big ski resort in Colorado and some in California, Utah, obviously, and all the hikes in between with my dog, Hank. It was really cool.
It's a good life for you and a good life for your dog.
Yeah.
What about with golf? I know you've gotten to travel the world with golf. I would love to hear not only about some of the favorite places you've been, but also some of the people you've met and who's inspired you.
So, golf, the favorite places, we'll start with that. Spain and Australia were wild. And so we go on all these events. I love playing in Ireland, but I will say the accommodations in Ireland aren't quite as classy as the ones in Spain and in Australia. Mm-hmm. A little lower key. My wife, the first one she went to with me was in Spain, and the DP World Tour put us up at this 5-star resort that was sponsoring the event. So we had incredible villa. We had fine dining we could just put on the room tab that was covered.
So cool.
So my wife thinks, oh, this is what you do when you go for these tournaments. You just get wined and dined and have a little vacation with golf. So that was cool. And in Spain, it was also played at a course called Valderrama, which was, it's one of the best courses in the world. They've had major championships on that course. So being able to play that game that before I could only play in video games was wild, and I actually had one of my best rounds there. So that was awesome. Australia, we got to stay right there on the harbor. So we would walk to the Opera House every morning, that little strip, to have breakfast, and just got to be a tourist in Sydney in the mornings and then play in this awesome event in the afternoons alongside the pros. Dubai was wild. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe like Vegas, where it's cool for 2-3 days, and then it's this is a lot. This isn't real life. But being able to go there and see it was weird. But if you would have told me 6 years ago, like you're going to go play in these tournaments. So like, I remember when I heard Dubai was an option, I was like, no way I'm good enough to play in like a tournament in Dubai. Like that's too big time. I'm not that great, but it just kind of built up and now it was almost became regular. Oh, Chris is going to Dubai in November. Chris is going to Australia.
Classic Chris, up to his own tricks again,
so
you know?
It's amazing where sports had taken me, and that's where I kind of go back and I thank my 10-year-old self. Like, thanks for working so hard, because that was the foundation that led to me being an athlete, led to golf, me being able to see the world with my wife too, who got to go to a few events. And some of my best friends in the world are athletes that I've competed against and with on the skiing tour and on the golf tour. So.
Tell me about some of those athletes and some of your experiences getting to know them and learn from them and play and ski alongside of them. What have you taken away, and what relationships have really meant the most to you?
Yeah, I'll go skiing first because there's a lot. We could probably spend 5 hours talking about this. But like my first main mentor was in skiing was Santiago Vega. He's from Chile. He's a below the knee amputee, and he kind of took me under his wing. He was the best skier on the National Ability Center team when I showed up. And he skied in 2 different Paralympics. So it was cool for me to meet him because he was way better than me on a different level. But when we were training, it was like we were totally peers. He was asking me questions about what we do in the gym. It was just, we were a team. We were going to help each other. And then Andrew Harrigy was one of my other teammates who has cerebral palsy, and it's more involved than mine. So his disability is more severe than mine. And he was a better skier than me. And so just being around him and watching how he was it blew me away how fearless he was. So if I'm skiing next to him, he's got less control of his legs than I do, and he's going faster and doing things more dangerously. That just shows me that you got to step it up, because like if he's not afraid, you can't be afraid. And that's sort of how the whole team worked. We kept stepping up that way. Stephanie Jallin won the bronze medal in Sochi, and that was the ones that we were watching on TV. Mm-hmm. She's missing her. I might get this wrong. I think she's missing her left arm and her left leg, so no use of either. And so she skis with just one side and one outrigger. And when you're skiing, like the track, they ice it down. Mm-hmm. They put water in it so it's super firm, so that the 50th racer has the same surface as the first racer. Because if it was soft, there'd be big trenches. And so it's just ice. It's like basically you're going downhill in an ice rink. And most able-bodied skiers have those 2 skis and 2 edges. So if one slips out, the other one will kind of catch on, and you have that little insurance. Mm-hmm. She just has the one. And so if that slips out, she goes down. And if you want to win a race, you can't like ski conservatively. You have to go hard, balls to the wall. Like you can't hold back at all. And so that's what I saw when I watched her replay of that race. It's just, she was like screaming at herself the whole time, like stay on it. You can tell there's like a little fear in there. She's encouraging herself. And so like, and then being able to see that on TV and then see her go through that same process in the races that I was in that just blew me away. The one leg skiers just blew me away too. 'Cause like all of them, there were a lot of them. A guy named Patrick Halgren, he lived out of a van. Like he put all of his life into ski racing, and he was just a menace in the gym. He had that one leg. He could lift more with one leg and squat than most people could do with 2. But yeah, just seeing the craziest athletes and the personalities, because they all have their own individual struggles that they deal with. Everyone's disability is different. But the one common thing was like, there's no sympathy in that world for each other. It's more like, you got to step it up. There's a way for you to be faster, a way for you to be stronger. So that was a cool environment to like not be babied at all. It's like, we're professional athletes and we're training like we're in the NFL.
Oh, that is incredible. That's inspiring to me. That makes me want to get in the gym right now and just bust it. Yeah. And that culture of just go for it. No cuss words given.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I feel motivated even just hearing those stories. I'm like, yeah, let's go. And thinking about that level of fearlessness in the sport of alpine skiing, I can't imagine, but I have so much respect for you and all the other athletes. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Okay, Chris, I want to hear about your work today. I know you teach and you're working with the next generation of golfers, both with and without disabilities. Can you tell me a little bit about what your life's like as an educator now?
Yeah. So back 12 years ago when I was talking with Eric Eshelman, my boss, about what my career would be, like what I want to do with my life, I told him my passion would be teaching people with disabilities how to play golf. And he said, that's a great thing for you to do. We want to make that happen. There's no money in that. So that's sort of something you can do on the side. And I totally agree, because if I'm giving a lesson to someone with a disability, I don't want them to have to pay.
Yeah.
And that's, I'll back up. When I took lessons in high school from a pro named Troy Beck, she would say, oh, just pay me at the end of the summer. So it'll be $40 a lesson or whatever it was. Just work hard, pay me at the end of the summer. So it came time to pay at the end of the summer. And she says, you're not paying me for these lessons. It's like, I just wanted you to work hard. This was so much fun for me. And so I kind of made a promise to myself, hey, when I have my opportunity, I'm not going to charge anyone with a disability. I want them to come learn how to play golf, and then the money will kind of work its way out. And so you do need to make money. So that's where I work full-time as the director of player development at the Country Club of Birmingham, which is just a great opportunity. I get to have, might be the biggest junior golf program in the United States. Wow. We had over 273 kids playing our club championship a couple years ago, 245 this year. It's just a massive, massive event. And a lot of really, really good golfers. A ton of golfers that play Division I, a ton of golfers that are elite in the ranks in junior golf trying to play in college. So that's super fun for me to be a part of, because I get to, like, that was when I loved golf the most, when I was their age. So I get to kind of relive my glory days in golf through teaching them.
I love that.
And they work hard, and it's fun teaching people who really want to get better, being competitive. I guess I'm attracted to competitive people. And I get to go to work and do that every day. So we train and get to play with them, get to work with them. We got a great staff over there. So it's just been a blast. And then while doing that, I get to teach a bunch of people with disabilities. And it's grown and grown, especially because of the tournaments that are now being played. Ever since the USGA had their adaptive championship that was on TV, people text me and say, hey, I'm in Birmingham. I saw you played in this tournament. Can I play golf? I have this type of disability, or I'm blind, or I'm missing legs here, or I don't have use of my legs. And so a lot of my clients I teach now that have disabilities are people that messaged me on Instagram after they saw me playing in a tournament or a tournament on TV. And so that part of it has grown, and I've got a lot of students that I'm just super excited about.
Chris the celeb, people sliding into your DMs asking for lessons. That's a big deal.
That's right.
I actually was one of those people that was like, hey, Chris, I can't see. Could you help me play golf so I can hang out with my dad more?
Yeah,
so it's real. It's real. I have a huge golf family, and I've got to get in there, because the places that they get to go in golf, I'm just like, wait a minute.
Yeah, you need to start tagging along.
We got to go. We got to go. That's amazing. What's maybe a story you want to share about a person or someone you've taught recently that's just been really encouraging, and maybe someone that you're seeing has a big future in some of these adaptive tournaments?
Yeah, I'll mention two totally different stories. One is a pretty popular person nowadays, Lulu Gribben.
Yeah, if you're in Birmingham listening, y'all have definitely heard of Lulu.
Yeah, so Lulu last June lost her right leg and her left arm below the knee, or below the elbow in
the arm knee.
Yeah, that's just limbs. But basically lost right leg, left arm, and a shark attack. And so now you would think, don't have an arm and a leg, how could you possibly golf? But I immediately reached out to her. I didn't know how early to reach out, because I know people with similar disabilities who are able to play golf. And when it was first happened, so I talked to her dad, and I said, would she be interested in maybe playing golf when she's recovered out of the hospital? And he says, let's do it right away, as soon as she's back in Birmingham. So the first lesson she came, and that morning I saw a video of her in physical therapy, and she was being held up by her therapist, and she was just kind of bunting like a basketball along the floor with a big long golf club. And it was like, oh, cool, she's hitting a golf shot, but that's not very impressive. And so I asked her when the afternoon came, I said, are you gonna get hurt if you fall down, or am I gonna hurt your prosthetic if we try to swing hard and you lose your balance? And then her and her mom both said, no, that's fine, I can fall down. Let's give this a shot. She had that drive of, I wanna do this for real. I don't wanna do the easy way. So that first day, she had her prosthetic leg on. She played one-handed, and she was swinging as hard as possible, hitting the ball over 130 yards the first day.
Wow. And
that's when I knew this could be something special here. And I posted the video on Instagram of oh, look, awesome day with Lulu, unbelievable what she's doing. And a few big golf accounts reposted it. And then it was kind of a huge story. It spread like rapid fire. And that led to her getting to go to the waste management tournament in Phoenix, Arizona. And she got to meet Ricky Fowler and Justin Thomas. And they made a big story about it. I got to tag along and just be the fan/coach as she went and played the famous 16th hole there in front of the 20,000 fans in the stadium. And so golf for her, it kind of took things away from, it's the girl who was attacked by a shark. It was like, it's the girl who's attacked by a shark who's a pretty dang good golfer. Just like that. And we work with a local engineer in town, Mark McCall, who's pretty connected with Lakeshore. And he has a 3D printing shop in his garage.
Yeah.
And helped print us an attachment that clips into her prosthetic arm that attaches to the golf club and behaves just like a left wrist would. So she could swing more traditionally now with two hands. And I didn't meet Mark until after I'd already made a prototype with part of my garden hose and PVC pipe, and there's a T instead of a bolt. It was like rinky dink, but we kind of got the idea. Mark made it professionally, and now that's her arm attachment. And so it opens up doors for her. And you mentioned before doing sports in many different ways for adaptive athletes is we now she swings without her prosthetic leg on because she can get more hip turn when we don't have that leg kind of holding her back, because when the leg's down there, she didn't really have the mobility to turn her hips. Mm-hmm. When she's just on one leg, she has more mobility, more balance challenges, but she's so good at that she said, I can balance. I can learn how to balance on one leg. I have some more turn. I can hit the ball further this way. So now she golfs on one leg with the arm attachment. We made special accommodations to crutches so she could walk around without a prosthetic leg while she's golfing. Yeah. And so she's finding ways she just keeps on elevating the bar on how far she can hit the ball, how good she can get, with no concern for, I might fall down. Or I might get hurt doing this. She's like, I want to push the limits and see how far we can go. And so that's just been awesome to be around. And then we have a date circled on our calendar. She's going to play in the USDGA championship in Florida in Port St. Lucie next May. We're going to go down there together. I'm playing in my division. She's going to play in hers. And she's going to be right there in competition.
That is incredible. And what I love hearing about Lulu's story with adaptive sports in general and golf is that it takes a minute and you continue. You're never really done finding your way in terms of what's going to work best and how to sharpen your game and your skills and use what you've got to your advantage, right? Yeah. And I think as a creative person myself, I'm like, that is so creative. There's just so much innate creativity in adaptive sports and figuring out how to get the most bang for your buck or how to make the best shot or play or whatever it is. And so that is so unique to hear about her story. And I think something that folks aren't thinking about every day, the millions of different versions of a swing until you find what feels best in your body and what works best with your body. So yeah, you mentioned you had one more story. I want to hear it.
Yeah. So James Cheek, I just met him earlier this year. He has leg disability like mine, but a lot more involved where it's hard for him to stand. And he can stand, and he'll literally fall down every third or fourth swing, and then he takes a little while to get up. But again, I asked him the same question the first lesson. Is it okay if you fall down? And of course, he's like, no, I can fall down. I don't care. And if you're watching our lesson, not knowing the story or not knowing James, you're thinking, man, Chris is brutal. The kid's on the ground. He's working him to death. But that's how James wants to play. And I could tell he's getting frustrated at himself that I really can't keep my balance. He's questioning, can I actually do this? Because I can turn around. No one else in the driving range is falling down. It's much harder for me. And so now we're in the process of developing a chair that he can sit in and be strapped in that can hold him in a golf posture so he's not worried about falling down, and then he can rip a shot. And they make golf carts like that are just crazy expensive, unfortunately. Yeah. If you're listening and you have money, please help us out and get a golf cart here at Lakeshore that we can send out. But that's what all the seated golfers use when they're in our championships. We don't have one here in Birmingham. I want him to be able to come to the golf course and play and not have to have this special cart brought every single time. And so trying to develop a chair. It started off where I had a big bag. It's called an impact bag, but it's this big I put a chair on top of, so the back of the chair was on that, so it leaned forward. And then we teed the ball up really high so his knees weren't in the way, and he could sit down and hit golf shots this way. And I was like, that's super weird outside in, but for him, he's like, I can swing hard, I can hit a golf ball, and I don't fall down. And that was great. And so we're going to find a more professional way to do that, kind of like we made a more professional way for Lulu to have her attachment. And just thinking outside of the box like that, that the two ways I would characterize how we want to help these adaptive athletes are. One is don't let there be a limit on how good they can get. Always shoot for the fastest possible, the strongest possible. Like, how good can we get, as that's our goal. And then don't be afraid to do something weird to get there.
Yes. Oh, Chris, I love that. Do not be afraid to do something weird to get there. It's so true. And so many accommodations, if we're really exploring what's going to work best. I know this from my experience in dance and theater. Like, there's some things that I have to do that are going to look a little weird. Great. Because guess what? I can do them faster, stronger, better than I could before. And I think that's so important for folks to hear, and maybe even younger disabled folks to hear that are thinking about trying a new sport or a new activity for the first time. Like, you might have to risk looking a little weird or trying something that is super uncomfortable for a while to get you where you need to go. But there's creativity in that. There's fun in that. You learn, I think, the ability to laugh at yourself and just to be like, well, get up again, try better next time. And I think, Chris, by hearing the way that you're showing up for these athletes, in terms of advocacy, advocacy can look a lot of different ways. There's people that are thinking about advocacy on levels in public policy and in the workplace. And I also think advocacy can be right in whatever world you're in. And I think the way that you are showing up for your athletes, constantly looking for new ways in, constantly trying to work to make them the best of the best, is an incredible means of advocacy. And you're doing that work every single day. It is so amazing to get to hear some of these stories, Chris. You know, I know you from United Ability World, which we'll talk a little bit about that and how you got plugged in there and plugged United Ability, because it's an amazing disability organization in Birmingham. But I feel like I've gotten to know you so much deeper in this short time we've had. I want to hear, in your world today, what are some of your favorite disability-focused organizations or events, either locally or nationally, and why do they mean so much to you, and why should other people know about them?
Yeah, so you mentioned United Ability. That is one of the big reasons why I'm probably still in Birmingham. That, and the fact that Eric Escherman allowed me to have my two lives, the skiing and golf, put together. But I was having a lot of struggles when I first came to Birmingham, and I had great pediatric care. I had two therapists that I saw, an occupational therapist and a physical therapist. And my mom made sure that I got every single ounce of medical attention that I needed when it was there. And then when you turn 18, the pediatric care goes away. It's sort of like adults are kind of forgotten. It's like, good luck, now you're an adult. And United Ability serves kids and adults. And at that time, it was called United Cerebral Palsy. I have cerebral palsy. So I was like, what are the odds? There's an organization that literally is named after my disability. And
it's
so
meant to be.
Yeah. So I walked in there, and I could tell right away the doctor knew exactly what I was dealing with. Because I would go in standard doctor's offices, and they want to help, but I might be the first person they've ever seen with this disability. And so they're kind of guessing. And
that's a lot of legwork for you as the disabled person. Another thing I don't think maybe some of our listeners think about is when we go to the doctor and it's just your regular, or even if you have to go to an emergency clinic, you have to advocate for yourself all the time. And sometimes you're just not in the mood.
It's tough. I'm listening to doctors thinking, I'm actually smarter than you, obviously, at what I'm dealing with, but I can tell you're guessing. I can tell you don't quite know. I didn't get that vibe at all when I went to United Ability. Like, I knew, hey, he knows exactly what I'm going through. And he knew that I wanted to compete in sports. And so he wasn't going to try to do things that are going to help me out 50 years down the road just to live. He wanted to help me, like, really live and compete. And it wasn't much, but that got me back on track, hooked me up with a physical therapist in town that was perfect for me, that I still meet with. And it's been... that kind of turned things around. And who knows if I would have been able to have an athletic career without the help I got from United Ability. And now I serve on the board, and you and I are the MCs at the Journey of Hope fundraiser every year.
It's a tradition now, and we can't be stopped.
Yeah,
So
I guess we do a good job to keep asking us back. So that's an awesome event, and how the stories shared there just spread me. My story is so small, but the impact they have on everyone else is out of this world.
It's huge. We'll have to have them on the podcast soon.
Yeah. And then you also have another organization, I'll say National Ability Center. My my ski team. Because I'll say without United Ability and National Ability Center, I wouldn't be a big time athlete. So both of them help. United Ability getting me back on my feet, and National Ability Center turning me into an athlete I never thought I could be. And again, them being that great training program for skiers, and there's a lot of different winter sports that they help. So I'm very thankful for those two organizations, and I mean, they're just the best.
Chris, thank you so much for being here and opening our worlds up to new sports and new ways of playing sports that we might not have ever thought about or learned about until you. We're just so lucky to learn from you. Thanks for being here.
Oh, glad to have it.
Thank you for tuning in to Nothing Without Us, a disability advocacy podcast produced by Lakeshore Foundation. If you like this episode, please be sure to like and subscribe to our show wherever you get your podcasts. And also, if maybe this episode sparked something in you or made you think of a friend or family member, please share it with a friend. We love to hear that you're sharing our show far and wide. Additionally, if there's someone you want to hear from or you know of an amazing disability advocate making waves in your community, let us know. Reach out to us with who you want to see and hear on the show. We are so excited to stay on this journey with you. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Nothing Without Us, a disability advocacy podcast, is produced by Lakeshore Foundation, Allie B. Gorey, Terry Scrimshire, and me, Patrick Tomley. For more information, visit lakeshore.org.